morning, modern steaders. It is going to be a scorcher today. I guess it's all relative because when I say scorcher, it's gonna be like the 80s. That's warm for us. We haven't been that warm lately, so it's gonna be a good sunny day. We need to finish lining our 6x6 sill plates on our run end of the barn. I get some pressure treated lumber to do that with. Then we can cut all of our floors, get everything finalized on the edges. So we ended up going with hemlock on the inside of the barns. Hemlock, when it gets wet, is fine. That's what a lot of the old timers used to use for their floors of their barns back in the day. And then I'm just lining this out here with pressure treated. So I need a few more boards to finish this up, because instead of doing the floor after, I wanted to do the floor before and then build everything on top of the floor. And if I'm having the floor on that side, I gotta have it raised up.
We're up here at the garden area and everything is it's growing, but everything is kind of, I feel like compared to a lot of people's, it's not growing as much as I think it should. And I've been trying to let nature take its course, and we've got quite a bit of rain, but it's really dry out. So I need to make sure I water, and we're going to get some rain in the next 4 days. So keep an eye on that. Make sure everything gets nice watering. Everything looks pretty good. Something's definitely liking my radish top. My broccoli looks so good. I'm really surprised because I was really nervous about not having it covered. Not saying something won't get it, but right now it's looking good. The beets are starting to come up. I just noticed that I have some squash plants that are starting to get some flowers, so that's really, really exciting. And then the beets are starting to get a little bit, I'm trying to get some beet greens and then I'll thin them out some. I have some nice carrot tops here, and shortly I will thin those out because I really like carrot top pesto. That is my favorite. It's not so strong, but it has a nice flavor, and it does have a little bit of spicy, but not too much. Oh yeah, by the way, I got 2 of the Vigo beds built, the 2 circle ones. They are quite a bit bigger than I thought they were going to be from just looking at them. So I just need to get them filled with compost at some point. I'm not going to stress about it. If I get them in, I get them in. I have some plants, they're in pots, but I would like to get them in here. I like to transplant what I have for strawberry plants so I can have them going for next year. And then I have some mint and some lemon balm and stuff like that. I do have some herbs in a bed over there. So yeah, so this year is just seeing what I can do, not getting stressed about it. And hopefully I really want some squash. I have been craving summer squash and zucchini, and I don't want to go ahead and buy it right now because I know that once they start coming, they come, and then you have a lot. So I'm just trying to be patient. So for me, putting that little strip on, I'm like, why do you even need to do that? It's just like a small strip, but then I asked out and explained it's because we're going to be setting the building on top, and if you don't have something to set it on, which that makes total sense, but I'm just thinking, oh, a little strip, you don't need it, but you do. Tanner just loves being here. I just can't wait for all the other animals to finally be here. And Pluto and Figaro and the goats and the chickens and the pigs and then whatever else we decide to get for animals. It's going to be so fun and they are going to love it too.
Look at all that campfire wood.
A lot of s'mores.
Right, we can make lots of s'mores over these campfires. Not for you, Tanner, not for you.
You can't have a s'more. So this is a good thing about these barns. So Al wants to do it one way and I want to do it the other, but what his way, he's thinking of having them, the boys be this way and then the girls can have it this way at this time because it's going to be easier for us to figure out what we want. So when we set these down, we have them the wrong direction. So we're going to go ahead and spin them both.
Right, so we got to spin the platforms. We want the runs on the other side. And the way you build them with the way the 6x6 skids are, I was thinking it was one way and I didn't look at the plan. So we got to flip them, build them, and they're going to be facing back to back. And the doors of one door side will be facing that way and the other door side will be facing that way. And then we can have the runs, like Gina said, going one way and one set of runs going the other way. And then like the bucks won't see the girls and the girls won't see the boys, and that way it'll keep it a little bit more quieter. You won't be having the bucks trying to get in with the girls. They can see them and they're close. They're gonna try to break through the fence to get there. So by doing it this way for this year, it'll make it a little bit more convenient. It's not exactly where we want them, but it'll work for now.
Right.
And then later on, come probably springtime, we can move them and figure out where we want to set them up.
Right, so they're not really the wrong direction, it's the wrong direction for what we're thinking. It makes total sense, and we can figure out what works easier for us for doing chores, where everything, because right now it's just going to be, we want to get the animals here, we want to get some, we're going to have temporary fencing for right now, so that way when we figure out where we want fencing for sure, we'll put in permanent fencing. So this is just a big trial and error kind of thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things when you, especially when you're building from raw land, you kind of want to figure out what works best for you. And if we just make permanent structures right now and permanent fence, if we don't like it or if it doesn't work out for how this land works or how we want to do things, your hands are tied. So by doing the movable shelters, the movable barns is what they are, and then temporary fencing, we can move it next year. We can use it for like 6 months or so and be like, okay, this works, this doesn't work, we like it here, we like it there, we don't like this, and then we can move it. Because we don't want to, that's the worst thing, we don't want to commit to something that doesn't work.
Right.
So by doing it this way with the temporary stuff, movable stuff, we can figure out what works best and what we like and what we don't like. And then later on, if we decide to build a big barn somewhere, these shelters are movable, so when we have different pastures and everything, we can move these down for, say, like summertime or just different stuff. Or we can use them for breeding stalls. Lots of options. So
different types of animals,
right.
So many different things. And the reason why I wanted it to be a different way was just so
looks.
When I drive up for looks, it's just
right.
for looks, and his is for functionality. It makes more sense.
Right.
So
we still have a lot to do. So from my thinking is let's keep the chores simple.
Right.
I want to keep everything simple, so we're not spending a lot of time doing the chores while we're trying to continue building. So I want to keep the barns kind of like back to back, so we can kind of like just get the chores done.
What it means a lot of time on chores is, where's the feed out, where's this,
right.
and not trying to get to this part and this part,
right.
and being here and here and here, and it making it chaotic. You want to try to be simplified and less chaotic, and figure out what works.
Right. We're bringing the feed to one area, we're bringing water to one area. We're not trucking everything all around right now.
Right.
Especially wintertime. Hate to say it, it's going to be here before we know it, unfortunately.
And we'll still be able to see when you drive up, or you look down, you'll be able to still see the animals. But I was just thinking, when you drive up, you can see the goats, or you look across, and see the pretty building. See the pretty building as well. But you can still see that different directions, just not what was in my mind. But when I was thinking a barn here and a barn way up there, and it could be that. But right now, that doesn't make sense, especially with temporary fencing, and it'll be less fencing.
Right.
Really.
Yep.
Yep. So
right,
that's what we're doing. We're going to be moving these around.
Right. So we're going to spin each one. And then that way, they're back to back. So I'm gonna get the jump in the tractor and get one spun, then we'll get the other one spun, and then we're gonna level them off, make sure everything is flat before we stop building. But I didn't want to get everything leveled off and flat until this next stage. There was no point to have to do it twice.
I thought that I would just grab a corner and you'd grab a corner.
Come on, try. Let's do it. You ate your Wheaties this morning, I guess?
Yeah. There goes the big toboggan. So when the move gets all completely done, it's going to look like the buildings are the same way, but they're not. The way the bottom 6x6 are going to be joint, so that the doors will have to be on a certain side, and that's what's making the big difference here. Is if we just go ahead and switch where the doors are going to be on the building, and the door won't sit, it will sit right on a joint, and we don't want that. So that's why we're turning the buildings around, but it's really just swapping the two, so it will make sense in the build. But right now it looks like we just did the same thing over again. At least in my mind it does.
That was the long way around, but we got it. I gotta verify it, but everything should be going the right directions. We just gotta level it out. They pulled really good. I'm happy with that, especially making that tight loop. That's definitely one thing that we're not gonna really ever be doing with them. But that's kind of like a stress thing, and everything went good. I wasn't hearing any cracking or popping, and everything seemed to hold together nicely, which is good. I'd rather test everything out now before we had the buildings on, so if we had to redo something or sturdy something up, we would know already. but it looks like it went well.
So these 6x6 beams are what we're concerned about which way the building is being built. So where we put the doors in the front side of the building depends on how it's set up, because the beams aren't set the same exact way on each side for the building structure. So if we didn't turn them around, we would have the door openings and stuff on a joint, and we don't want that. So this is why we're going through all this and doing it. And like Al said, we're giving it, testing it, see if basically we need to strengthen anything up. So this is, it seems like extra work, and it might be, but it's actually, it'll be good in the end.
Yes, they are pretty much in the same place they were, except for the run is now facing the woods, not the road. And we have both the barn buildings straight and parallel with each other, so they'll look pretty, which before we didn't have that. So now we're gonna go around and we just wanna make sure we are level and straight, and then we can start building our buildings on top of them. It's gonna be pretty nice to see what it looks like. I can't wait. They dragged really well. I know there's no buildings on it, but putting the buildings on it are actually going to make these skids even stronger. The way they're built, they'll help stiffen everything up, which will be good. But the way they are, I'm really impressed with how they dragged. Even doing those sharp bends and stuff like that, it all went well. All right, so this whole platform is leaning that way about 2 inches, which that's the contour of the ground. It's not in a divot like we had it over here. And then the back of this, the run side's got to come up a little bit. So I'm going to hook onto the front. We'll just keep an eye on this level, and when this gets close to being level, I'll stop, and then we'll just have to level off that backside.
Stop!
That actually worked out. We are right on the money, and then I think we're just going to raise this whole backside up like 2 inches. I just ran a string from one end to the other, and we got a bit of a sag in the front. I want to get that sag out, and once that sag is out, we should be good. All right, I like that. That got the sag out. I spaced it off the ends 3/4 of an inch, and then I wanted to make sure that, and then I just made sure that we had a 3/4 inch spacing all the way across. It is good. Just gonna put one more block in where the forks are, and that'll be perfect. All right, I have the 4 corners set. Having the opening over there throws off your eyeball, but the 4 corners is set. I'm gonna go ahead and run a string and then get the rest of it all nice and flat with no bows in it. That is definitely the way to do it. So much quicker. If I had to do it again, but I don't, I would set the corners with my transit and then string it. The way I did it is a lot quicker than the way we did that side, probably by 1/4 of the time. It's probably taking us like 1/4 of the time to do this one as it took us to do that one. It's crazy. So I just got to string the back edge, which is the front of that barn, get all the sags out of the middle, and then we're good. So today is one of those rainy days that we knew we would be getting. So unfortunately we won't be outside working on the Jamaica Cottage Shop's barns, but we have plenty of things to do inside. I need to work on some plumbing, and you have...
I'm gonna do miscellaneous things that need to just get taken care of. I'm gonna start out and finish up my little cubby hole flooring I was doing.
Yep.
And then I have some different things just to pick and just do, just stuff that needs to get done.
Right. The other day when I was filling up our radiant system, I was able to bleed all the radiant PEX down below, and then I was filling up like the whole system that goes to the heat exchange. It was still getting air bound right here, or this pipe. So I'm gonna put a fill valve in right here. That way we can fill it and also get the air out if we need to up high. Need some water.
All right, I finally feel like I've made some progress. So that part is all done, if you can see it, all the way up to where I'm going to have Tanner's area.
All right, I'm going to temporarily run our circulator pump on an extension cord. I'm just gonna hook this up like we did the outdoor boiler circulator pump, and when we plug it in, it'll be on, and that'll help circulate all this, so all the final little bubbles, I'm thinking we'll be able to get out up high.
And I'm also happy that we decided not to work outside today because it started to rain really hard. Okay, I was gonna go ahead and put the shelves in my cabinets, but I figured I need to sand where I had puttied those holes. So I'll sand first, that way I'll get the dusty mess done. And then maybe I'll have time to get at least a couple of these shelves in the cabinets. Then I'm gonna start slowly bringing stuff. And when I get my countertops, I'm really gonna bring stuff.
All right, I think I got all the air out of the system now. I had to add an extra fill system in, and I had to use both of them. And then I got all the air out, re-bled the radiant lines, and I am not seeing any air bubbles. So I'm liking that. A lot of you recommended to switch over to these metal lines off of the water heater to the PEX, so I just installed those. So that is the last of the rainy day projects for today. The only thing left we have to do in here is to wire up our control for our circulator pump. We gotta get our thermostat in. And then I wanna wire up right here our sensor wires for this tank to turn on and off the circulator pump for the hot water heat exchange right here. So that'll be another rainy day project because tomorrow it is gonna be beautiful out and we're gonna jump back outside and start working on the Jamaica Cottage Shop barn kits again. So feels good to have this done, but I am excited to get back outside. Thanks for coming along on our homesteading journey. You guys are a huge blessing to us in our homestead. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you right back here in the next video. Bye.